Raw opens hot and heavy. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, in the middle of the ring, out here looking for a fight. They are tired of the Kingdom's interference. They're tired of, the Kingdom basically backing down and running away every opportunity that, every time that these guys face off, the Kingdom is running away. And anytime that Roman and Seth are kind of isolated, the Kingdom is right there to bring the fight to them. So they are calling out to Kingdom, and the call out does get answered, and the Kingdom comes out and tells Rollins that he better get used to it, because as of Money in the Bank, the Kingdom will destroy Roman Reigns in a steel cage. They will destroy Seth Rollins. They will finally dismantle the remaining members of the Shield. Drew McIntyre guarantees he will win the Money in the Bank. And after Seth Rollins is destroyed, Jinder Mahal will easily take a victory and win the Universal Championship, all in the same night at Money in the Bank. Rollins says, keep dreaming, and he says that he wants a shot at the Kingdom again. That he's pissed off from last week's match with the interference with the match with Drew McIntyre, and he does not want to wait till Sunday. But the Kingdom says that they're not contractually obligated to wrestle here tonight on Monday Night Raw. However, they've got two guys that would be very willing to get involved. A couple of friends of the Kingdom, and that is when Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin come out to the stage. And Seth and Roman kind of look at each other with a smile on their faces, and Wade Barrett, who's kind of like the microphone leader of the Kingdom, he says that these two gentlemen right here will be happy to take our place, and if you're really looking for a fight, then you can have your fight. So Monday Night Raw opens with this big segment here. We're at the Ford Center. And I'm going to try to keep my rambling to a minimum, as I realized last week, an hour and 40-minute episode is just way too long. It took me forever to fucking upload it. And I'm sure that, I don't expect you guys to be paying attention to like 2 hours worth of this shit. I really was trying to keep them at like an hour, but sometimes I ramble. I'm going to do my best not to do that. Segment got us a B to open the show, which is super strong, and gets us right into our first match, which actually is a tag match. There it is. Look at that. The game was like taking a little bit there. Tag match between Rollins and Reigns versus Corbin and Lashley. The Shield does pick up the victory. They go about 12 minutes, and Seth Rollins pins Baron Corbin following a pedigree. It says Corbin was the weak link in the match. Rollins and Reigns have great chemistry, no shit. And they both had a performance of an A. Holy shit. Well, they have been built up, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just a tag match going into Money in the Bank pay-per-view, so that it sort of carries the Kingdom story along, with kind of substituting a couple of fresh guys in there, because having these guys face off against that team constantly gets old and stale. And it's something that I wish that regular WWE would do, which is, kind of freshen things up but keep the same story going. Um, and no interference from the Kingdom, as quite frankly, they may be friends with Corbin and Lashley, but they don't want to get involved with the Shield unless they have to, and they don't give a shit if Corbin and Lashley lose this match. So, we are moving right along into our next segment. B rating for the opening match, which is really good. And we continue our Bobby Roode, Chad Gable story here with Roode once again pumping Gable up in the locker room, letting him know that tonight he's going to face Elias, and Roode expects a victory. Roode is not going to be out there on commentary. He's not gonna like be out there to distract Gable. He's not gonna be by ringside. He really just wants Gable to focus everything onto Elias, and go out there and get the victory. So got ourselves a C here, which brings us into Elias sings a song. Sings a song for all of us before his match. Listen, I mean, it's Elias singing a song. I am creative when it comes to booking wrestling. I am not creative enough to come up with a fucking song for him to sing. So just use your imagination. He sings a song about being at the Ford Center, the shitty fucking city that WWE is in this week, and his match with Chad Gable, which is up next. And in a decent match, Elias and Gable go about 10 minutes, and it's a back and forth contest again, with Chad Gable throwing everything he can, but just not being able to close the door against Elias. And, Elias is able to kind of come back, and what he does is, he hits his finish, and even Gable is able to kick out. So Gable's really, really, really doing the best that he can, and he's fired up. He's getting the babyface comeback in, and he goes to hit a clothesline. Elias ducks. Gable almost hits the referee, but stops himself. But that allows Elias to grab a schoolboy pin, and Elias gets it in deep and grabs the tights and just yanks on him, and gets the 3 count on Gable. And so Chad Gable once again losing to Elias. After the match, Bobby Roode would come down to the ring, and he would get in Chad Gable's face, and Chad Gable and Bobby Roode would kind of be going back and forth, and Gable would, finally kind of stand up to Roode a little bit. Not getting physical, but getting heated. He kind of snaps. Roode, of course, is getting right back into his face, and actually slaps Chad Gable right across the face, hard, and that would get a reaction from the crowd, which in turn would bring Gable to shove Bobby Roode. And Roode would kind of stroke his beard a little bit and have a grin, and finally Bobby Roode would just snap and kick Chad Gable in the gut and give him the glorious DDT. And Rude would kind of sit there for a second and just look at Gable as he's laying on the mat. And he'd get up and he would just continue stomping on Chad Gable. And all of the frustration from these weeks, all the losing, everything is just coming out all at one time. And Bobby Roode, he's snapped. And just as Rude is going out to grab a steel chair, as he's getting back into the ring, from the backstage area comes running out Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan hits the ring with a like a bat out of hell, just with a rage and fury, and Bobby Roode swings the chair, misses it, turns around. Jordan hits a beautiful drop kick into the steel chair. Chair goes back on a Roode's face. Roode kind of gets back up. Jordan goes to hit his finish, but Roode kind of slithers out of there like a little snake, kind of backing up the rampway. And as Bobby Roode's at the top of the ramp, Jordan kind of helps Gable get to his feet. The two men kind of look at each other, and then they embrace. And as you can imagine, this is the reunion of American Alpha. I don't know why this tag team broke up. They wanted Jason Jordan as like a singles guy, and then they had him go in this random fucking story where then he ended up tagging with Kurt Angle and whatever the hell they did. This was a great tag team, and I have zero interest in having Chad Gable and Bobby Roode as a tag team, and I have zero interest in having Jason Jordan or Chad Gable as singles guys, but I have a lot of interest in having American Alpha back. So that is what I've done. American Alpha returns. Jason Jordan, I've been building to this as he was recovering from a serious injury. So that is kind of when I realized I had a certain amount of days to work with. That's when I kind of came up with this small undercard story to tell, to break this team up, and get Bobby Roode as a heel, get Jason Jordan back on the roster, and come up with a solid babyface tag team that I can really use. So as you see, there is the match, which got us a C+. There is the segment, the return, and I can finally do the heel turn. Look at this build up right here. 10 segments. I was telling the story to build to that. So got it great. The turn was a complete success for Bobby Roode, as it should be over a 10-segment arc. And Roode is now a singles, and Gable and Jordan are now back as American Alpha. So pretty cool segment. That brings us into our next match, which is our Cruiserweight Championship match, and a bout that had subpar wrestling, little heat. Kushida picks up the victory in 13 minutes and 20 seconds with the Kushida lock, and Kushida is now our Cruiserweight Champion. So from New Japan to NXT to Cruiserweight Champion, that is the route that Kushida took. And I've just kind of wanted Kushida to be the face of 205 Live. So like his in-ring work, and I think that he'll be a great Cruiserweight champion. So this got us a C-, which is a pretty good show, or a pretty good match between these two. I can get better matches out of Kushida than I can Murphy, which is big reason why I wanted to take the title off of him. So from there, we go to the locker room of the Kingdom, and Edge comes in, and Edge, basically reminds the Kingdom that he is the general manager of Raw, and he's the only one with the authority to make matches. So while Edge did not stop the tag match earlier tonight, because Edge actually didn't mind it. He liked the idea of it. And he really enjoyed seeing Baron Corbin and Lashley get their ass kicked. However, he does remind the Kingdom that he's the authority maker. And he bans the Kingdom from ringside. And if they interfere in any match at Money in the Bank, if they interfere in any match on Monday Night Raw, McIntyre will lose his spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So later tonight, McIntyre's in action. Basically, Edge saying that if the Kingdom interferes, McIntyre will be out of his spot, and furthermore, to give that further incentive, Mahal will lose his championship match. So Edge says that this carries from tonight to Money in the Bank. So if any of these guys get involved in any of their matches, so if anybody helps McIntyre in the Money in the Bank, or Barrett in the Steel Cage match, or Mahal in the WWE Universal Championship, all of them will be punished. Edge then goes on to say that they saw fit to make a match, and Edge does too. So tonight, a couple of Edge's good buddies will be taking on Jinder Mahal and Wade Barrett. Barrett then comes back with a snarky remark like, what friends do you have? And Edge goes like, oh, well, they're my old friends, the Hardy Boys. And then as for you, Drew McIntyre, you have enough to worry about in the main event when you team with Kevin Owens tonight to face Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. So you've got enough on your plate. So enjoy your main event. And McIntyre, Mahal, I hope you're ready for the Hardy Boys. Gets us a B-, just setting up some matches, carrying on the power struggle between these four. Up next is the first Origin Series match. So the Origin Series was announced. I still actually have to show you the blocks. So look at the blocks here on the graphics. I completely forgot to put the blocks up. But anyway, so this is an A block match. Starts off with a triple threat. The winner of this gets 2 points as the rules laid out. So we get Marty Scurll, Alex Shelley, and El Ligero. And they go about 11 minutes. And this gets a C, which is pretty fucking hilarious because none of these guys have any popularity. And somebody, Alex Shelley, got hurt. Fuck my life. A transverse process fracture? What the fuck is that? I don't know. But anyway, Marty Scurll, Alex Shelley, great. Ligero, not so good. But that's okay. Anyway, so Marty Scurll picks up the victory over El Ligero. And gets 2 points out of this. So A block is this week is going to be A block, next week B block, the following week A block, so on and so forth. So each week on Raw and 205 Live, the A block or B block will be competing in different Origin Series matches. At the end of the video, I will put the scorecard up with the week one, like with the week standings, and keep it updated and flowing and everything like that for you guys. But this is the first of the Origin Series, and I'm here to tell you, if I get C and better ratings on this series, then it's a fucking home run. Because really, this was just a way to build up some of my developmental guys, and get them some main roster time, which I did not expect C ratings. So, anyway, Skrull, the first victory in the Origin Series, he has 2 points. Up next, yeah, thanks for that, Alice in Danger. I appreciate it. We get a quick interview in the backstage after Marty Scurll comes back from Brooke Adams. And this is kind of just to introduce one of those just very quick interviews to sort of introduce Marty Scurll to the entire WWE universe. Obviously, if you're a fan of like independent wrestling, you know who this guy is, and everything like that. But you know, a lot of WWE universe fans are kind of, their head is like stuck in the mud, so to speak. So this is just like an interview introducing him, where Scurll just basically goes on to put himself over as the villain of professional wrestling, and he says that he's going to use every underhanded tactic, every trick in the book, everything that he knows, to win this Origin Series, and to get a permanent spot on the main roster. And then his plan from there is to actually kill the Cruiserweight division. So Marty Scurll announces his intention, which is to kill the Cruiserweight division. Scurll says that he hates Cruiserweights, he hates high flying, he hates the flips, he hates the jumps, he hates it all. He is a villain, ladies and gentlemen, and he will kill the Cruiserweight division. So just puts Marty Scurll over a little bit, gets a C-. From there, we go to the ring, and we get an in-ring segment. So Dolph Ziggler comes down, once again bragging that he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. And putting down his opponent at Money in the Bank, Tyler Breeze, saying that he's outsmarted Breeze every step of the way. Says that Breeze doesn't deserve a championship match at Money in the Bank, but Ziggler will be happy to give him one because it'll basically be like a night off for Dolph. Ziggler says he shouldn't have to defend the title, but seeing as he's being forced to, you know, it's fine. It is what it is. You know, I'll take a little vacation match. I'll dispose of Tyler Breeze, and furthermore cement my legacy as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Breeze then comes down to the ring, and he makes a proposition. And the proposition is, if I can pick your opponent tonight, Dolph Ziggler, if you win, then I will forfeit my Intercontinental Championship shot, and you can really have the night off at Money in the Bank. If Breeze wins, Breeze gets to pick a stipulation for the Money in the Bank Intercontinental Championship match. So not only will it be for the title, but there will be an added stipulation. Dolph agrees, but he says that there is one condition that he has, that because he is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, Dolph Ziggler's requirement is that it has to be a former Intercontinental Champion. Of course, Tyler Breeze agrees immediately. The two shake hands, and as they shake hands, a big smile comes across the face of Tyler Breeze, and Ziggler, you know, is kind of like, "What are you smiling about? You know, what do you? I've beaten everybody that's been an Intercontinental Champion. Like, I can take on everybody. It doesn't matter who it is that comes out of there. And all of a sudden, that familiar music of one Mr. Kurt Angle hits, and Dolph Ziggler flips the fuck out. And he loses his mind as Kurt Angle comes out in his wrestling gear. And this is Tyler Breeze's master plan. Kurt Angle, definitely a former Intercontinental Champion, one of the better Intercontinental Champions. And Tyler Breeze sort of looks at Ziggler, tells him, have fun. I'll be over here doing commentary so that I can watch you in action. So this fun little segment got us a C+, as you see. And it just carries on this little game of one-upsmanship. And, Ziggler has been naming his own opponents, and it's been trash. So here we'll get a legend. We'll get Kurt Angle to have a random appearance. We'll let him have a day off from training the NXT superstars. And he'll come up and he will have a B- match. And he will actually go over. So Kurt Angle submits Ziggler with the ankle lock. And nothing fancy here. This was basically, this feud has been building for quite some time. And it's basically been 90% victories for Ziggler in the feud. With very little by way of Breeze getting the upper hand. And so I figured that this was a good way to get Breeze the upper hand. Kurt Angle coming up and puts on a clinic here with a B- match in the middle of the card, and gets the victory, leading into the big Intercontinental Championship match. After the match, Breeze would get on the microphone, and the stipulation would be a hair versus hair match. So Dolph Ziggler, Tyler Breeze, Money in the Bank, Intercontinental Championship, and hair versus hair. Winner's going to take it all. Ziggler looks mortified at the thought of losing his golden locks. From there, speaking of golden locks, we go to our Golden Locks tag team. I should probably call them the Golden Locks, for crying out loud. I still need a name for them, but for now they're just Alexa Bliss and Lacey Evans. Alexa is still just distraught over losing to Rosemary last week, and she says to Lacey that she wants her to just destroy Rosemary at Money in the Bank in the ladder match, that she wants her to just permanently remove her from the roster, and that later tonight they're in a huge three-way tag team match that Edge has booked. They don't know who Rosemary's partner is. They don't know who Bayley's partner is. But nevertheless, Alexa and Lacey want to destroy the competition. So just a quick little backstage segment with these two. Gets a C+. From there, we slide right over to an interview with Charlie Caruso and Rosemary. And Rosemary says that she is happy to be here in WWE, that it's been a dream of hers to compete on the biggest stage with some of the best females, and that she's here to cause destruction to this female division, that it's going to be a big shakeup. Like, this is a difference maker. She's not just here to win titles and be on magazine covers. She's here to just destroy people. And she says that while she doesn't like a tag team partner, and she doesn't want a tag team partner, she's forced to have one. And if she has to pick one, she's going to pick Sasha Banks. And then Sasha Banks comes in from off camera. Charlie Caruso would be like, "Why, Sasha? Did you turn on Bayley? And why are you agreeing to this match?" And basically Sasha says that she wants to just hurt and injure Bayley any way that she can, and she doesn't want Bayley even in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And she took this opportunity to team with Rosemary to ensure that Bayley doesn't make it to Money in the Bank. And Sasha's going to lock in the bank statement, and she's going to tear Bayley's shoulder right off of her body. So these two, they're out for blood. Gets a C-. From there, we would go right into one of those locker room fade-in things that I love to talk about, where Bayley's watching this take place on the monitor. As she kind of has a concerned look on her face because she's standing alone. And she is booked tonight in a 3-way tag match where it's Alexa and Lacey, Sasha and Rosemary versus against Bayley and a partner of her choosing. But it doesn't look like anybody's really running to the aid of Bayley. As we then lead into that match, which we would get the entrances of the first two teams, and then we would get Bayley's entrance. And as Bayley comes down to the ring, she gets to kind of the bottom of the ring entrance. The referee would kind of be asking her, well, who's your partner? Like, you got to have a partner. And Bayley's kind of just shaking her head like, I'm sorry, I don't have one. Like, I tried, I asked everybody in the back and nobody was here, and I don't have anybody, so I'm just going to take this by myself. And as she gets up on the ring apron, you've got Sasha with a just huge grin on her face. You've got Bayley essentially about to get into a 3-way tag match with 4 of the biggest heels, and she is the only babyface. And the odds are ever not in her favor. When you get the Becky Lynch is not going to let her friend hang out by herself. She's going to come down. She's going to be Bayley's partner. And we got ourselves a huge 3-way tag match here, folks. Alexa and Lacey against Rosemary and Sasha against Bayley and Becky. And as you can see, this gets a strong C rating. Bayley and Becky pick up the victory. They go about 12 minutes. Alexa and Lacey were eliminated from this match first. And then Rosemary and Sasha Banks. I believe I had Bayley. Yep, Bayley picked up the victory over Sasha. So head and shoulders above everybody else was Becky. No surprise. I've got her up to a B on in-ring performance, which is like stronger than half by male roster. So just a fun tag match. All of these women are involved in one way or another at Money in the Bank. So just a good little go-home 3-way tag match leading into the pay-per-view. after the match, as they were, as kind of everybody's celebrating, going up the ramp, Sasha would grab the microphone, and she would just lose her shit. She would just basically throw a temper tantrum about, Bayley and Becky getting all of the credit, being in the spotlight, being handed everything, despite the fact that the women's revolution started with Sasha Banks. That Sasha Banks has been the best, most consistent women's wrestler since the women's revolution started. That she has carried, and she's fought through injuries, and she's done everything. Yet Becky and Bayley are just handed opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And Sasha guarantees that she is going to win the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank. And she guarantees that she is going to make sure that Becky Lynch is not the face of women's wrestling. That face is the face of the boss, Sasha Banks. And she will be remembered as the greatest women's champion of all time after she defeats Becky on at Money in the Bank on Sunday. So just one last word here, and really just showing kind of the frustration and the 4-5 years of frustration kind of boiling over for Sasha. Kind of a shoot in a sense. I know that Sasha's got all that kind of contract stuff. She's not happy with creative in real life. I can't really say that I blame her, as she is kind of lost in the shuffle, which doesn't make much sense to me, because if I had to rank them, I really do feel like Sasha is probably the best in-ring worker out of like all of the 4 or 5, top women that you think of when you think of like that initial group that came through in NXT. But she kind of just gets relegated and lost in like nothing land. And I'm not sure why. But anyway, not in my universe. Sasha is going to be heavily used, which is a big reason why I broke up the tag team. But so sort of a shoot here from Sasha in my universe. From there, we get our second Origin Series match, and god damn it, we are hitting on all cylinders here in this Origin Series. Roderick Strong, Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali triple threat match. Roddy gets the victory. Picks it up over Cedric Alexander after a half Nelson backbreaker. We get a C+. Roderick Strong on the board. 2 points. Origin Series A block. We're off and running. Roderick Strong, Marty Scurll, 2 points apiece here on Raw. 205 Live. These 6 guys will be in singles matches with each other. So the opportunity for some major points to be scored, and some people to potentially get out to some big leads, or for these guys that took the loss here tonight on Raw to catch up. From there, we get a Bray Wyatt promo. Bray Wyatt is on the Titantron, and he thanks The Undertaker. He thanks The Undertaker for tombstoning him straight to hell. And he thanks The Undertaker for waking him up, for getting him out of this funk that he was in. Because now Bray Wyatt is focused, and Bray Wyatt is ready to put all of his energy into destroying the legend of The Undertaker once and for all. Bray Wyatt says that you're coming for my soul, and I'm coming for your legacy, and I'm going to bury you. And if you want to take my soul, Undertaker, then you can try to take it in a buried alive match at Super Showdown. And at the end of the night, may the loser rest in peace, and may the winner live on in infamy and glory. So gets us a B plus. Sets up a challenge from Bray Wyatt to the Undertaker. In the Undertaker's basically favorite match, Buried Alive. Good way to have these two work a match together. Strong rating here from Bray. He worked superbly without a script. Had the crowd in the palm of his hand, which is what I would expect from Bray. From there, we go right into our tag team match. Damn, this got a good rating. Jinder Mahal, Wade Barrett defeat the Hardy Boys in 9 minutes and 48 seconds. Wade Barrett defeats Matt Hardy by pinfall with the Wasteland. And, Edge said that the Kingdom couldn't interfere. What Edge did not say was that nobody could interfere. And Dash Wilder comes down and while Scott Dawson distracts the referee, interferes and hits Matt Hardy with the tag team championship and the Wasteland, and then that allows Barrett to hit the Wasteland. Solid match. Great work from all four guys here. Got a strong rating, a B. I did not think this was going to get that good. I was hoping for like a C plus or a B minus, but really good work here. And continues the story with the Hardys and the Revival. And after that, we get a quick segment backstage. Brooke Adams kind of runs down Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson as they are leaving the arena. And they say, what the hell? Why in the world did you do that? And they just have smiles on their faces, and they say, listen, business is business and money talks. And before they can kind of elaborate further on that, the Hardys come running through the curtain as they are fired up. They attempt to get their hands on the Revival, but essentially a bunch of backstage workers and road agents separate the two, and we get ourselves the classic pull-apart brawl. And this gets us a C+. As the next time you see these two teams, they will be tearing each other apart in a ladder match. From there, we get a in-ring promo with Kevin Owens. He comes out, and he guarantees a victory tonight in the main event, and guarantees that he will become the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. And when he cashes it, and he guarantees that he will become victorious when he cashes it in, whether it's against the Universal Champion or against the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Edge's comments are still sitting with Owens, and he will prove to Edge and the entire world that he deserves to be in this Money in the Bank, that he deserves to be the Universal Champion when he wins in dominating fashion. Then Drew McIntyre's music hits, and he comes down, and he says that basically that'll happen over his dead body. McIntyre has been waiting for this moment his entire life, and just because him and Owens are partners tonight doesn't mean that McIntyre won't take or seize an opportunity or a chance to take Owens out if it presents itself. The two men kind of stare each other down as then Finn Balor's music would hit, and he would come out, and we would be right into our main event, which is Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre versus Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor, which Wyatt and Balor take the loss here. Owens and McIntyre do get the victory. They go about 21 minutes and 50 seconds. And Kevin Owens pins Bray Wyatt with a pop-up powerbomb. And the big thing here during the match, right there at the end of the match, for allowing Owens to get the victory, Wyatt would kind of have Owens set up in Sister Abigail, seizing all control, and the lights in the arena would go out. And when they come back on, Wyatt would just have this terrified look on his face, and he'd be looking around for, assuming that the Undertaker is there. There would be no Undertaker. As he comes around, Owens would hit him with the pop-up powerbomb and get the victory. So during the match, we also had the Undertaker distract Bray Wyatt. I can't really have the lights distract Bray Wyatt in the game, so I just had to say the Undertaker. But the Undertaker's not there. The lights just went out. So that allows the team of Kevin Owens and McIntyre to get the victory as they head into Money in the Bank. So I got a good rating, B-. I'm happy with it. Which that's all she wrote for this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Solid show, B. I'm like the master of the B show. Increased our popularity in 21 regions. I'm not going to scroll. No, I don't think I'm hiding anybody from you guys. Nope. Just I borrowed Adam Cole and Bobby Fish for a segment on 205 Live, and I figured, well, if I'm paying for them and I'm borrowing them, I might as well just have a dark match. So they had a pre-show match against Hawkins and Ryder where they picked up the victory. They got a C-. Anyway, good show. Really loved the performance. I have to really thank Rollins and Reigns with the A performance. Pretty solid throughout. Bayley let us down here with the D+, but otherwise very solid. Next time you see these guys, it'll be Money in the Bank. But up next is a little show I like to call WWE Smackdown Live. We kick off Smackdown Live inside the ring with Sami Zayn. Sami comes out and says that he is interrupting your regularly scheduled programming to bring you a bit of bad news. That Sami is here to kill the power of positivity. And he's here to kill it for good on SmackDown Live. Last week he took out Xavier Woods. Tonight he will take out Big E. And this Sunday he will finish 3-0 against the New Day, completing a rare sweep and culminating in winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. And that he will break the New Day's spirits in doing so. This, of course, would bring the New Day out. And Kofi, basically would cut a babyface promo, hyping up the power of positivity, hyping up everything that the New Day has stood for over all these years. And, basically Kofi ends it by saying that you must stay positive in order to achieve your dreams. That Kofi had a lot of low points in his career, but he always stayed positive, and it got him to winning a World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, something that he had dreamed about, and he would not have been able to do that without the power of positivity. So, just a one last segment with these guys before Sunday's match between Sammy and Kofi. Gets us a B minus, which keeps us moving right along into the Usos. The Usos are out here, and they are in the ring as we are in Usos Open Challenge. And they come out and cut a quick promo in regards to the Open Challenge, which is answered by Eddie Edwards. And Eddie Edwards comes out and says that he wants a shot at the WWE Smackdown titles. The Usos kind of laugh it off real quick. And they say, well, you don't have a partner, so, I don't really think you're gonna be able to wrestle us because, tag team action is really easy for us, but handicap action, that's gonna be even easier. And then Eddie Edwards says, I've got an old buddy of mine that recently had his knee operated on, and he is feeling good and recovered, and he happens to be here tonight, which of course would bring out Davey Richards. So I know that I initially had said I wanted to make this a tag team here, as you see Edwards and Richards now in this segment, which got us a C minus. I know I originally said I wanted to make them a tag team, but Davey was injured, and it actually wasn't. It was a bad injury, but I had surgery on it, which made his recovery time a lot quicker. So I didn't see those notes when he was in NXT, and you can't operate on dudes unless they're on the main roster. So I brought him up just to see how long, and opted to have surgery, and he actually recovered from the knee injury like magically. So I changed my plans back to what I wanted, which was to make this a tag team, and really boost up my tag division. So that, of course, will bring us right into our match. And it gets a B minus. Back and forth action. And as they're called American Pit Bulls, not the American Wolves. I'm actually going to rename them. I didn't realize until after I booked the show. So the Wolves end up getting the victory over the Usos, but it is by intentional disqualification. So back and forth, where the Wolves would actually be winning and getting the upper hand in the match, and the Usos would kind of panic, and Jay would grab one of the tag team championships and just crack Eddie in the skull with it right in front of the referee, which of course leads to the referee having no choice but to disqualify the Usos. So they do lose, but they keep they keep their tag team titles. So complete the gimmick change, whatever. So the Usos, as they are leaving the ringside area, they're up on the entrance ramp. They're celebrating. They are extremely happy, and the American Wolves are kind of looking in disappointment. And from out of the kind of side area of the stage, not the backstage area, but they kind of just come out from the side. Come these two and this female, Tama and Tonga, along with Tamina, the Gorillas of Destiny, debuting here on Smackdown Live, coming over from New Japan, and actually teaming with Tamina. And I said that I was going to limit my signings from New Japan, and I am limiting it to Tama and Tonga, which honestly isn't really stripping too much away from the roster if you really think about it. And I'm going to just go ahead and turn these two right now. Fuck it. I wanted to bring them in because I like them as a tag team. I think they're kind of cool. Then I was kind of looking at the roster, and I just didn't have much of anything for Tamina to do. So I actually think, that Samoan kind of package, if I can put Tama and Tonga with her, create like a little Gorillas of Destiny little stable. I can get some momentum for Tamina in the women's division, give her something to do. Give these two kind of like a female kind of sort of manager, and kind of go from there. And they lay out the Usos. They pose on the ramp with the tag titles, and then the three of them leave via the crowd. And this gets us a C rating, which brings us into our next segment, which is an interview with Charlotte Flair, where she basically just talks over and puts over the fact that she's going to climb that ladder on Sunday, grab the briefcase, and she will hold all the cards in order to pick and choose when she will pick off Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So that brings us into our next segment, which actually is a match featuring the three competitors from SmackDown Live. For in that Money in the Bank ladder match. So Charlotte Flair does defeat Natalya and Naomi. When Charlotte goes over on Natalya with the figure eight leg lock. Charlotte carries this match. C+. Just a triple threat to get all three of them involved in the same match as they lead into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So these three will face the three Raw women's contenders as well. Big six-way Money in the Bank ladder match. Women's briefcase on the line Sunday at Money in the Bank. From there, we go to a backstage segment between The Miz, Johnny Gargano, and Candice. The setup here would be pretty simple. Gargano and Candice would be in their locker room, and The Miz would come in. And with both guys being baby faces, there's not really a lot of animosity between the two of them. But they do discuss facing each other for the United States Championship this Sunday at Money in the Bank. And they do talk about, friendly competition, giving the fans what they want, and really an all-out match. But the Miz says that he wants Johnny to do him a favor later tonight when Johnny faces Andrade. It'll be Johnny and Candice versus Andrade and Zelina. The Miz wants Johnny to exact a little revenge on behalf of Maurice and on behalf of the Miz, and really go out there and kick Andrade's ass for him. Johnny says that he'd be happy to, as Andrade and him have never really gotten along. So kind kind of just a little face-off between these two before their championship match. We go into a... Holy shit. This is a great fucking tag match. We go into a tag match. The Horsewomen versus Becky and Asuka. And Becky and Asuka do pick up the victory here. They go about 9:44. Asuka picks up the win over Mandy Rose with a spin kick. Becky was head and shoulders above everybody. Mandy was the weak link. Makes sense if you look at the in-ring performance down here. Becky's up to a B. She'll probably be a B plus pretty soon if she keeps having great matches like this. Mandy, the weakest of them all. I haven't really used her that much, so she's still down at a D. But a very, very, very good tag match. And of course, this just continues the story between these women. You know, Becky coming to the aid of Asuka. Asuka has been entangled with the Horsewomen. Asuka will face Shayna coming up at Money in the Bank. So a lot of moving pieces here with this feud, and this just keeps it moving in the right direction, giving Asuka a much needed victory. She's been taking a lot of losses in this save, and Becky is very strong. And I've built the Horsewomen up. Obviously, when they started, Sonya was like an E, and Mandy was an E. I've got Sonya up to a C minus now, and Mandy to a D. So that just kind of tells you the momentum that they had. They can take a loss here going into Money in the Bank, and they'll be all right. From there, we get a clusterfuck of a segment here. It starts off with Mike and Maria and Austin Aries. They're all kind of hanging out in catering. Maybe they're discussing, who knows what they're discussing. Three heels plotting in catering when Ricochet kind of walks by, and Aries and Kanellis sort of just make fun of him and kind of poke fun at the fact that he's yet to pick up a victory since coming to the main roster. Guys like Mike Kanellis and Austin Aries, they have it all. They've got the looks, they've got the beautiful women, they've got the championship lineage, they've got the charisma, and they've got the in-ring ability. And Ricochet kind of kicks back at him a little bit and says, if that's the case, why don't you prove it later tonight in a tag match? Because I've got a partner in mind. Of course, Kanellis and Austin Aries, overconfident, brash, cocky, arrogant, say, yeah, go ahead, bring it on. Whoever you want, bring to the show. And that's when Ricochet says that he'll be happy to partner with another great high flyer, another guy that takes to the air and dazzles the WWE universe, and that guy is Rey Mysterio. And of course, Austin Aries and Mike Kanellis not too happy to learn that Rey Mysterio is going to be Ricochet's partner. But this is just, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of, sort of a filler segment. Not really, as I am going to be doing some undercard stuff with this kind of group of people. So this is kind of just sort of kicking it off. Get to C minus. From there, we go to another locker room segment between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, where the two changed AJ's gimmick, where the two basically just talk about their history, and AJ, that their paths have been intertwined for the better part of the last year now, and at Money in the Bank, one of them will be left standing with the briefcase. while the other one will be left with nothing. And Daniel Bryan tells AJ that he will do anything and everything to win that briefcase. And AJ Styles tells Bryan that despite his losses to Daniel in the past, AJ is focused on coming out on top with the briefcase this Sunday night. And they basically say that they'll see each other later in the main event. Just a quick, carries the story between these two. A lot of history here, a lot of simmering tension. Gets us a B. From there, we go to an interview segment that I was hoping was going to be better than this, but not really. Kathy Kelly, Andrade, and Selena Vega. This is just an interview with these two right before their match. Their match is up next against our Gargano and Candice. And Andrade said, listen, I dispatched of little Johnny many times back in NXT, and I don't mind doing it again here tonight on SmackDown Live. And as far as The Miz and Johnny are concerned, whomever comes out of the U.S. Championship match at Money in the Bank is going to have to deal with Andrade Cialis, and him getting a U.S. Championship opportunity is something that he desperately wants, which, of course, leads us right into that match. Johnny and Candice versus Andrade and Zelina. And Johnny and Candice pick up the victory. Candice pins Zelina. So Zelina, obviously not the in-ring worker that the other three are, so that's why I kind of had her eat the loss there. And it just, in my opinion, does make a little bit more sense. Johnny and Andrade pretty much on the same level in terms of in-ring work and work rate and popularity and everything like that. But these two are dating in real life. They're married in real life. They are everything to each other. It just makes sense that they would be a better team than these two, despite she's his manager. But at the end of the day, it just makes more sense for Johnny to get the win leading into Money in the Bank, get himself a little momentum, and do something that The Miz couldn't really do, which is get a victory over Andrade. From there, we go to a pre-recorded video package from Shawn Michaels. And this was pre-recorded. This takes place shortly after the events of last week's SmackDown. So Shawn is at home with his wife. Maybe he's talking to like a security consultant or something like that to make sure that this doesn't happen. And Shawn basically vows revenge on Brock Lesnar and lets Lesnar know that next week Michaels will be live on SmackDown. He will be in the arena, and that he demands that Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are present. And he tells Lesnar that HBK has a surprise for him, and that they need to discuss the terms of the match that Shawn had to promise Lesnar in order to make sure that his wife was safe from the clutches of the Kimura that Lesnar had her in last week. So it gets us a B, just quickly advancing the Michaels, Lesnar, Heyman story. From there, we get a match. We get our match, our tag match that was advertised earlier. Mike Kanellis and Austin Aries defeat Rey Mysterio and Ricochet. Austin Aries picks up the victory over Rey Mysterio by submission. Kanellis was the weak link. Not surprised there. trying to build him up. Part of the reason why he's in with these three here is just so that he can kind of rub shoulders with a couple of better guys, so that I can start to build him up and have some good matches. This got us a strong C plus, and Maria did some good work at ringside, which is always a good thing. From there, we will go to a backstage segment where Shayna Baszler is not happy with the performance of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Not happy with the fact that they were unable to soften up Asuka earlier on SmackDown, and Shayna basically says that, you know, when you want something done, that I guess you just have to go do it yourself, and she vows to permanently rid the WWE universe of Asuka, threatening to injure her so badly at Money in the Bank that it ends Asuka's WWE career. From there, we get a match between Sami Zayn and Big E, part 2 of the 3-week stretch that Sami's going for the New Day gauntlet, so to speak. And good wrestling, decent reaction from the crowd. Sami picks up the victory. They go about 10 minutes, and he gets the victory there with a fast roll-up. Caught old Big E off guard there, rolls him up, grabs the tights, and gets out of there with the win. So Sami Zayn getting some momentum heading into Money in the Bank. Gets us a B-. From there, we would get a interview. Shawn Michaels pre-recorded earlier, but he is in the arena tonight. Interview with Andrea DeMarco, where Shawn Michaels talks about the Tag Team Championship picture. And HBK has spoken to Edge, and they are in agreement that they've got 4 teams that are kind of at war with each other. And between the two of them, they have decided to make a huge match for Super Showdown, which will take place in a couple of weeks in Australia. We are going to see a 4 corners tag match between the Revival, the Usos, the Hardy Boys, and the American Wolves. Then Shawn basically switches subjects and touches quickly on Gorillas of Destiny, where Shawn says that he has not signed them to a contract in WWE, that he has not, that Vince or Triple H or Shane or none of the executives have signed Gorillas of Destiny, that they are banned from all arenas from this point forward, and that Shawn will deal with what to do in the next steps in regards to them after he, along with the WWE officials, discuss it with their legal department. So Shawn kind of revealing that it was not his idea to bring in the Gorillas of Destiny, and he is not really sure where these kind of outsiders came from. But they're not contractually signed here to WWE, and they are not part of the SmackDown Live roster. But they will be dealt with in some manner. Gets a C-. This was really just to announce the big 4-way tag match at Super Showdown. From there, we get our main event. AJ Styles and Cesaro versus Daniel Bryan and Shinsuke Nakamura. The 4 members of the SmackDown Live roster that will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match this Sunday night. They go about 15 minutes, and Shinsuke picks up the victory over Cesaro after he hits him with the Shinsa. I can never say that, so I'm just going to call it the running single leg high knee strike, even though it is a lot easier to try to say what the finish is. But either way, Shinsuke and Bryan pick up the win. They get themselves a little momentum, and that really is what it was just to get some momentum for these two. And look at this 4 collaboration here. All in the B range. AJ B plus. He's the strongest of all of them. And solid rating here, B minus. And that's going to wrap it up. 13,284 at the Williams Arena in Minnesota. Brings us to the end of the show. Got us a B minus. Back and forth show. Increased it in 21 regions. Lost it in 18. Not as strong as Raw. I had John Cena in a pre-show segment, ladies and gentlemen. How the mighty have fallen. Yeah, so not a big, not as good of a match or a card as I would have liked. But either way, next time we see you, it will be for 205 Live as the Origin series will continue. And then after that, it's Money in the Bank this Sunday. Tune in. Thanks, guys. We opened this week's episode of 205 Live. We actually opened it with a match between Alex Shelley, an Origin Series match between Alex Shelley and Cedric Alexander, where Alex Shelley got the victory. So he did obtain 3 points for that victory. At the end of each week, I'm going to kind of flash up a separate video with the point totals that each guy gathered during week 1. That way you guys can kind of follow along with it. But anyway, we open up with the new Cruiserweight champion. He's in William Regal's office. William Regal congratulating Kushida on his Cruiserweight championship victory on Monday Night Raw. When Jack Gallagher comes in and basically says that he would like the opportunity to face Kushida. Kushida says that he is open to any and all challengers, which of course brings Buddy Murphy in, where Murphy says that he wants to enact his rematch clause. So William Regal does book a triple threat match between Kushida, Gentleman Jack Gallagher, and Buddy Murphy to take place at Super Showdown in Australia. So the Cruiserweights will be at Super Showdown, and they will be Kushida will be defending his Cruiserweight championship. From there, we get an interview, debut interview of the Marty Scurll. And Charlie Caruso welcomes Scurll to 205 Live and to the main roster, where the villain proceeds to let Charlie know that he will be doing anything and everything, cutting every corner, and taking whatever steps necessary to win the Origin series. That a man of Marty Scurll's stature shouldn't even have to wrestle in some silly little Origin series, but Marty will ensure total victory just like he did on Monday Night Raw. He will ensure a victory tonight over El Ligero, somebody who he is very familiar with, which then, of course, brings us into our next match, Origin Series, between Marty Scurll and El Ligero. Stupid ass changing the gimmick of freaking Mike Chioda. This game's so funny sometimes. So Marty Scurll does get the victory over El Ligero, 13 minutes and 14 seconds. Scurll had a great performance. El Ligero, he's not very popular, but either way, this got a D+. These are going to be some pretty quick 205 Lives, because the majority of 205 Live for the next 6 weeks is this Origin series, and I don't really have to talk a lot about them. I mean, it's a series of matches, and it's pretty clear Marty Scurll gets the victory. He gets 3 points. From there, we get an angle featuring the Undisputed Era. So the Undisputed Era is here. They are here to support Roderick Strong, who is in the main event. Adam Cole, of course, is one of the bigger stars in B Block. You do not see Kyle O'Reilly here because Kyle O'Reilly actually sustained a spinal injury in the game, and he's actually out for a year, which really fucking sucks because I actually did plan on bringing Era up in a different way, but I had to change those plans when O'Reilly got the spinal injury. So anyway, Bobby Fish, not in the Origin series, but he is here to support his brethren. And the Undisputed Era basically cut a promo saying that they will dominate this Origin series, and that when it comes down to Adam Cole and Roderick Strong in the finals, that may the best man win. Segment got a D. From there, we get an angle featuring Mustafa Ali and Kushida as the two men cross paths. Of course, Ali kind of turning his back on Kushida. And we still haven't really heard anything from Ali. And Ali just simply looks at Kushida's Cruiserweight Championship and kind of walks past him as he is in the main event here tonight with Roderick Strong in the Origin series. So Kushida and Ali, some simmering tension as they cross paths in the hallway. Up next is our main event, which is Roderick Strong going over Mustafa Ali by submission. They go about 12 minutes and 31 seconds. Great main event for 205 Live here. C-. Probably, I think it's our best main event number that we've pulled, our main event rating that we've pulled here. So both guys did a very good job. C- performance from both of them. And a good match. So 3 points for Roderick Strong. And that brings us to the end of this show, which got a C rating, which is probably our highest rated 205 Live. So calling people up and this Origin series, certainly a big hit. There is where the game glitched out and hit next as I started to record, so you didn't see the Alex Shelley match, but it got a C-. So thanks for tuning in this week, guys. Like I said, I'm going to post right at the end of each video kind of the standings on the Origin series each week. But three guys coming out of 205 Live with 3-point victories each. Alex Shelley, Marty Scurll, and Roderick Strong. So some good momentum for those guys in the A block. Next week's action will consist solely of the B block. So we will see guys like Adam Cole in action. And we hope that you tune in then. Thanks so much, guys. Talk to you next week.